Welcome to the Shake Up Podcast. I'm your host and co-founder of Mr. Consistent, Jared Bell. This is a podcast where we invite friends of the brand into our studio. We get to know their story a little bit better. We chat all things business, culture and marketing, all while shaking up a few cocktails. This week on the Shake Up Podcast, we have the team from Volando Tequila joining us here in the studio, and it is in the lead up to a very special day. It is World Tequila Day. Volando is an Australian-owned and run tequila company based out of southeast Queensland. Shane and Jai join us to tell us what it takes to actually create a tequila company and then what is actually involved in creating a product of origin. By the end of this episode, you'll have a new appreciation for tequila. And if you hate it, hopefully you like it. And if you like it, hopefully you love it. So sit back, pour yourself a margie, and let's celebrate World Tequila Day with Volando. On today's episode of The Shake Up, we have a very special episode. It is World Tequila Day. That is why we have the boys from Volando Tequila in the studio. We have Jai and we've got Shane. Welcome, boys.
Thanks for having us.
It's exciting.
Cheers.
It's World Tequila Day. We're going to drink some of this shit neat soon, I reckon. We've had a margie. We're ready to go. But I want to get to know you guys. Like Shane, you are one of the founders of Volando. You've got a very interesting background. Like you're a drag car racer. You're like
unsuccessful one.
Jai, you've been in the industry for like 20 odd years. You've been venue manager.
All that kind of stuff. 33. 15.
Sorry, 15 years. But you've been a venue manager. You've been working in the industry for a long period of time. So you guys got pretty cool backgrounds. But Shane, give us a bit of a rundown on yourself.
So I guess going all the way back from when I was younger, grew up around drag racing with my family and sort of got thrown into it with my parents, and then started racing sort of semi-professionally over here when I was 19, and then that took me to the US and dabbled over the US for a few years. And I guess over the course of the last probably 5 years since I was probably 11 years old, I've been involved in racing.
Just burning rubber.
And like I said, unsuccessfully. That's why I said. But I love it. It's ingrained in me, and so brought me here. I'm very competitive nature, and I guess that's why you go into ventures like tequila in Australia that we really have no idea and going balls deep.
So you lived over in the US for a long period of time?
I lived in North Carolina, which is sort of the heart of any motorsport.
Yeah.
From when I was 20 till I was 22, and as it turned out, the whole world collapsed in 2009.
Yeah.
And had to come back and start a business, and decided I was going to start a construction company. Had no idea with construction either.
Just starting business, having a go.
Google it? Yeah, Google's been my best friend. Let me tell you that. About the same amount of experience in construction as I do in tequila.
Mate, it's all fun though. It's all good. Joe, what about you? What's your background?
Yeah, mate, hospitality.
Yeah.
Actually through and through. Come up from Yamba, New South Wales.
Yep.
Right on 18, schoolies.
Yep.
Tried to get into Melbourne, got thrown out at 17. Realised I wanted to be a part of it. So came up, started there, ran a few venues in town, done clubs and bars, essentially. Through to date now, abroad, domestic, internationally.
Yep.
Really cool. Came in with the boys 12 months ago.
Yeah, about 12 months ago, yep.
And brought in that, I guess, the liquor category.
Yeah.
I had a taste for it, mate. I've always been around it.
Yeah.
Guess to a point you can't keep running venues, right?
Recycle those hospitality skills that you've saved some dudes that are drowning.
I saw the hole in the boat. I thought, you know what? They got tequila. If we're going to drown, at least we're going to enjoy it.
Just bring a bucket next time to bail us.
And then you guys got some other business partners. You've got Jesse, who's a former Olympian.
Yeah, he was Olympian. I went to the 2012 games in London.
You haven't seen him, have you?
I've met Jesse
his
once.
nose?
Yeah. He's a boxer, right?
He's a boxer.
But so Jess actually worked with us in my construction company from when about 2013. And then in 2014, Jesse and myself, we started a construction company in Dallas, Texas.
Yep.
So that sort of brought us into the US market. And if anyone knows sort of geographically where Texas is, right on the border of Mexico. So naturally, a lot of our employees were Hispanic. So that's sort of where it turned into getting introduced to the Mexican culture.
Yeah.
One of the little stories, I guess, probably not so.
You're starting already?
Yeah. I thought we were jumping straight in.
Right, get straight in. No, 100%. Get straight in.
Yeah.
We're here for tequila, mate.
So that's sort of where we got introduced on the whole Mexican front, but it wasn't such a pleasant intro to Mexicans in the beginning. We had one of our supervisors, he was a bit of a loose unit, I guess, and Aussie guy.
Yeah.
And he started to promise the boys on site, things that probably were out of his touch.
Yeah, right.
Getting paid when it was fortnightly, and he was promising weekly. So he called us one day. He said, "Mate, I've got a bit of a problem." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Oh, I've got the boys are waiting at the front, and they've got guns, and they want to be paid." And I said, "Well, mate, that sounds like your problem, not mine."
Definitely not coming to site.
So yeah, that was no shit. So that was I guess that's just how it is. I mean, the Mexican,
I feel like that's how it is over there, right?
Yeah, and look, I mean, I never owned a gun or anything over there, but I guess that's open carry too in Texas too. So that was our first little initiation with the Texas culture and also the Mexican guys as well. So from there it sort of rolled into in where we are now, which we'll catch up on a little bit later.
Man, it's like that's like
that makes you want to go to Mexico and do a tequila
on movies. Like you see it shit on like all the time, where like a guy needs landscaping work done, he pulls up and a bunch of Hispanics jump in the back of the truck and they go off and they do a day's work. They get paid cash and they leave. But yeah, you took it to the next level and employed somebody that's making promises.
Yeah.
So when I was actually 20 years old and I was living in North Carolina, I was there on the 3 months Esther, and I had to go home because I couldn't resolve my visa issue when I was over there. And I was literally driving to the airport on my 88th day because I had to be out of the country in 90 days. And as I look over, there's a truck with about 5 Mexicans in the back. And I'm like, I guarantee you, none of those guys have got a visa. Why am I having to leave the country?
That's crazy. It's just that's life over there, eh?
Exactly.
They make the world go round at the end of the day. Like they make one of the best spirits in the world.
Yeah, they do. And mate, I
arguably the best.
I would have to say we've probably got about 100 employees in our construction company, and I reckon 90 of them are Mexican.
Really? Do you still have the construction company over there?
Well, yeah, just recently, actually, I got back from the US. We just did a stock purchase deal with another partner of ours over there. So we sort of took a few chips off the table, and they come in with a bit of capital as well. And they got some really aggressive aspirations to grow the business. So works well for us, and gives us a bit of a lifeline over there too. So sort of alleviates my time too to be able to concentrate on this. So.
Nice. That must be relieving, man. Come from getting out of construction slowly into booze.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then like how did the whole Volando thing, like it's a very well thought out brand product. Like the taste is obviously incredible. Like it's really smooth. It's, I don't know the process of distilling tequila and all those kind of things, but I don't imagine, like you're sitting around with a bunch of dudes. Like how do you come up with a tequila?
Exactly. Like just that.
Was it like, fuck, we hate construction so much?
It's
like
exactly just that.
Hit it on the head.
No shit. I was sitting at a Friday afternoon with one of my mates, Michael, and we're just sitting there at the bar, and I sort of graphic designer, so I love developing brands and whatnot and logos. And I was like, obviously clothing or merchandise is something that's probably a flooded market, very difficult to stay relevant in.
Yeah.
But the liquor industry, I got, my thought process behind that was there was more and more Mexican restaurants popping up in Australia. This is back 2018, right? Yep. So Guzman Gomez, all those.
Chains and Rares, all those chains are starting to pop up.
So you saw a bit more Mexican culture getting adopted into Australia.
Yeah.
And Mate, I could probably count on one hand the amount of shit I knew about tequila, factually. But I did know that it was a clean spirit.
Yeah.
And health-wise, it was probably one, if you're going to drink a spirit, it's probably one of the cleanest ones you can drink. Yep. Aussies, we love to sink piss, but we like to be health conscious as well. That's just who we are. We're probably one of the healthiest nations around the world. So I thought, mate, if we can really solve the bad stigma behind how tequila is meant to taste, then, maybe this thing's got a bit of legs. So I suggested to Mike, I said, what about, and obviously I love the movie Entourage. So another big idea that I thought, fuck, I want to be another turtle. but
he
no.
very well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He killed it. So we're not there yet.
So he's in the US market.
Yeah. So yeah, we shot the shit one day, and
was this we doing this in Australia?
Just in Australia, just like at my place.
Yeah.
And then my mate Michael, he sort of was like, nah, look, sort of knocked it on the head, and I was sort of a bit
get out the house, mate.
Deflated. I was deflated, but I didn't really take it on board. He called me on Monday driving to work at like 6 a.m. He goes, nah, fuck it, we got to do this. I'm over this so bad. So I was flew back to. I happened to be in the US the following week, and Jesse, my business partner over there, saw me messing around with some logos and stuff, and he sort of pulled me aside. He said, "What's that?" And I sort of was telling him a bit about it. He goes, "Why aren't we doing this?" I said, "Well, mate, because I'm sitting in Dallas and not in Mexico." But as it turned out, one of our employees who worked for us over there was constantly bringing over white label tequila across the border because their family sort of sent it across and were offering it to us. And we're like, "Mate, we're Aussies. We don't drink tequila. I drank Sierra when I was 15, and
that little red heart,
little red heart's burned everyone, hasn't it?
Broken everybody.
So we decided we finally succumbed to his pressure and thought, let's try this stuff. Tried it and thought it's amazing how a spirit can taste so sweet and so clean, and it's 100% natural. So, I mean, in 100% agave like our stuff, there's agave plant diluted with water. We charcoal filter it and oxygenate it. That is it. So, we learned a little bit more about it and thought, better plan a trip to Guadalajara.
Yeah, away we go.
That's it.
And then, mate, like do you just like, obviously you've kind of tasted it, felt it out. Do you just like, there's so much to know about tequila. Like there's rules and regs on where you can actually produce tequila, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And then the plants are numbered, like the agave plants are numbered and all those kind of things. You can only, I don't, is there any of those that like,
yeah, so
that shit blows my mind.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Kind of blessed though. Like this is where the distiller came in. Right?
Yeah,
just finding that distilling partner.
Yeah, find the partner
but
to do it.
You're exactly right. We picked up the phone, called the distiller and said, "Hey, we want to start a tequila company. Can we come and see you?" But the rules and regs, there's a lot around it. You got a CRT that you need to be that sort of regulate you, and then. But all the distilleries, they sort of lead you in the right direction, right? But you could go down there and there's probably 100 distilleries. They'll make your product.
Yeah,
right? They will say, "Hey, this is our Blanco.
Yeah,
we can put your brand on it and run." The problem with that is we get stuck with another product that's just the same as the rest of it.
Yeah,
not a bad thing, but Aussies aren't accustomed to that. We're not accustomed to your traditional agave taste, which is a more of a, I guess, a bitey, almost what would you call it? Probably a little bit tangy, earthy taste. So when we drink it, when we taste it, it goes down your throat and it burns. That's actually the agave plant. That's the bite of the agave plant. So as we learned more about it and we spoke to some of the distilleries, we ended up catching up with one of them, and they were more of a boutique distillery. He was the master distiller. So he actually works with multiple farms, third generation, been in the industry forever. And we just sort of wrote it, we asked a couple of questions. We're very, very green with this, but we said, "Mate, how do we make it?" We want it smooth. We knew what we wanted. We wanted it to be smooth.
Yeah, you knew what the end, like the end product kind of.
Exactly. It's got to be smooth. It's got to mix well with cocktails.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose the flavor within that. And it has to be, somewhat easy to drink and, something that Aussies are going to adopt to.
Absolutely.
And his process behind that was there was a couple of processes that you can run through when you're putting the flavour together, and one was charcoal filtering it, the other one was oxygenated. And we did that and played around with the profile a little bit, come up with something, and it's been fairly well received out here.
Mate, it's so much like when Jeremy, I remember clearly the day that you dropped, I think you must have first met Jeremy, you dropped off a bottle because you guys hit us up on Insta, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's fucking tequila, I'll have a go." And then I was like, wow, this is insane. Like there's a real stigma behind tequila, especially in Australia, that, you go to a bar, you've been serving people this for 15, 20 years.
We blame him.
Like people walk up to the bar, right? And they walk up to the bar and then, "Oh, can I get a round of shots?" And what do you want? Tequila. And 9 times out of it's the lip sip suck thing where it's like the salt and the lemon and all that kind of stuff. It's usually 9 times out of 10, it's the bottle with the little red hat, and it's the darker version of it. And it's really like you shot it and it just burns the shit out of your throat. And that's what I reckon hurt everybody. Like you have that period of 18 to 20 years old and you're just banging tequila shots because everyone's like, "Yeah, tequilas." And then you get to a little bit older, you drink margaritas, like, "Oh, this is good, it's good." And you start exploring like Patron and Cafe Patron and all these different nicer spirits, and you start to move to vodkas and those kind of things. But tequila's always been known as a shot in Australia versus part of a recipe or something bigger, or drinking it neat.
Right?
Yeah.
The category's been so highlighted by celebrities.
Yeah.
Now, whether celebrities are endorsing their own brand or they're purely interested in the taste or the flavour of the tequila, 9 times out of 10, it's to make profit, right?
Yeah.
To make a margin. So they don't essentially pull apart. And this is the whole reason around working with the guys that we do is it's all that agave plant.
Yeah.
It all comes down to that region where that's from, what that entails, whether it's from the highlands, whether it's from the valley. It dictates how it's grown, how long it's been there.
Yeah.
The flavors in that, the aromas, they're typically our flavor is sweeter.
Yeah.
Purely based on where that agave is grown.
Yeah, it's like coffee, right? Like you grow it where the altitude it's grown at, all those kind of things can make a difference.
Exactly. And there's actually a code on the back of the bottle, a nom number, right? And that actually tells you, if you follow that nom number, what the distillery is that made your tequila, and you can actually follow it. So if you find our nom number, our nom will be hooked up to who our distiller is and what other brands they actually manufacture for as well. So
you've got to remember, like, going right back. So if you consider, you look at cognacs, you look at champagnes, there's certain origins that they come from.
Yep.
It's the same with tequila.
Yeah.
Now it was only introduced in the late 90s where that came about, but that was a CRT. Right.
Yep.
So the Tequila Regulatory Council, so they implemented depends where you read, right? But there's about 135 distilleries that fall underneath that, and packaging, bottling, and labeling is everything that they police.
Gotcha.
So they kind of brought that nom in about 97. The expectation on that got changed in 06. And then as that progressed, they kind of needed to put a cap on the industry.
Yeah.
And as you kind of dive into the industry more, you start to realize that the agave plantation shortage was a big thing.
Yep.
And when you look at the celebrities that came in, and this is what, again, I reiterate, the whole reason why we pick a premium tequila over something, not so premium.
Yeah.
Is because of that, because that actual taste, there's a marketing strategy to taking a product to market. But when you get liquid to lips, and that's one thing you realize about Volando, like, it's not a gimmick.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that really excited me about the product and the brand was, I hated tequila. It wasn't for me, mate.
Actually, to be fair, he only just told us this a couple of months ago.
Wasn't in his resume.
Deal done first.
Want to get the job and get past probation.
I mean? I made a scotch. I love scotch, but this was something that I could start to adapt that flavour because it had the same characteristics.
Yeah.
When you start to drink premium spirits and you have so to make that shift or that, let's call the 2020 word the pivot into tequila, it was nice.
Yeah. There's lots of things that can sell a product, right? Like brand or name. Like they're the a celebrity puts their name. It seems like tequila is a popular thing at the moment for people to put their names behind. But like a name can sell a gin or a like aviation gin was what's his name?
Oh, those commercials.
Yeah, but those brands are built off a name a lot of the time. And it's kind of refreshing, and it's nice to hear the story behind something that's built off a taste. First versus
shit house drag race for not taking boxes. So too much to go for. We didn't have a choice but to make it look good.
That's true. Make it feel good, and then that's what moves it off the shelf. Versus this is such and such as tequila, or this is such and such gin, or whatever it is. So it's nice to hear the story behind how it gets from the farm over there to in a bottle on a shelf here. We'll get into that a little bit more because, I imagine there's lots of rules and regs around importing and all the other stuff. Yeah. But I'll dig into that a little bit more, I reckon. But because people fucking love that shit. Like, man,
I hate it actually.
I bet you do. But people want, it's importing. Like, you're making a product in Mexico. Why not just sell it in the US? Why you're living in Dallas? Why not just sell it in the US? Why bring it back to Australia? Obviously, the health and you saw an opening in the market here. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more, but I reckon we're going to do this little speed test. You are a drag racer. I'm expecting you to go fast.
Unsuccessful one.
I'm expecting you to go fast. Jai's been doing this for 15 years, so I'm expecting you to go fast.
I've stood in front of the bar for probably 14 years.
Mate, directing
if you fail
traffic.
On this, dude, that's actually embarrassing.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Is there anyone on the board you want to get in front of?
Oh, mate, where's Jeremy sitting?
He's second.
Is he?
Behind me.
He's fast.
I don't want to
Mate,
say
how did you get
everyone on the board?
Mate, I've got tactics, purely multitasking. Shit.
What are the rules and regs?
What other rules?
I'll tell you. We'll get set up and I'll walk you through the rules and the regs. All right, and we'll see. We'll see if we can get you above Jeremy, but below me.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
All right, you ready?
I think so.
How you feeling?
Fucking nervous. Reminds me of this, we used to do bar training in the clubs.
Yeah.
And I'd always be the person that would be picked last because I get so fucking nervous. And people are looking at you and you'd be like,
is it what line?
oh, it's fucked.
All right, we're going to go, so 75 mils of mix, 45 mils of the tequila, ice, shake 5 times, strain it out, put the fruit on top. However you get there. Yeah, do it however you want. You've gone with the shaker upside down, so you're gonna flip it.
Who's number one?
That's me. You know it is me.
2049 time to beat.
2049 time to beat.
2086 is Jeremy, so he's real close. It's a good time.
All right. I don't know. Okay, no.
Mikey's 2216 third.
Tactics. It's on. All right. I'll do it too. All right, we're going to go on 3, 2, 1, go.
I want to know. I'm going to look at this.
Here we go.
Which one are you pouring?
You just watch and learn.
You want to make it here?
All right, let's go.
Make it here?
Yep, make it in there. Yep.
Safe to say you're not going to end up last today.
Make sure this is at the roof so it doesn't
Righto.
come onto you.
Yep.
Hold the top, hold the bottom. Shake it 5
Shake it
times.
up.
Hit the opposite side of the tin. Let it drop. Obviously, all your contents is in here. Swaps.
Okay.
4.
All right, that's enough. Let's go.
So lots of that's enough.
I got the gist of it.
Somewhere in between.
Fucking roll.
All right, you ready?
Fuck.
Probably need another drink.
All right. Right. Let's go.
I'll commentate if you
3, 2, 1, go. Here he goes. 45 mils of tequila.
That was a shit pour. That's probably 40
all
mils.
the way to the top. Keep going. He's
Come
gone
on.
slow.
Come on, man.
Come on. Ice. Bang.
14 seconds. You
5
go.
shakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop it open. Here he goes. Strain it out. Fruit on top. I've got him.
That was quick, though, wasn't it?
It was still quick.
24:02.
Oh, that was garbage.
It's fucking embarrassing, Napa.
Well, just slow down on the pour. You slow down on the pour.
Shake it off,
Come
bro.
here.
It's called the shake
No,
off.
on the margarita, slow down.
Yeah, no, the pourers.
I'll take it off. Fucking take that nip pour off.
No, don't do that.
20. Pretty good, though. Where'd you end up?
It's fourth. So first guest. Yeah, it's good.
First on the guest.
Let's tip it back in there. I'm happy with that.
So last is 4106. So
Time to beat 4106.
Ingredients.
Mate, just do you. You're the best at just strap it in.
I just strap it in, man, to fucking my thing.
What are we going in here?
Where's the jigger?
Where the jigger, bro?
Put your monster back over here.
Fucking you do you, bro. You finish fucking
Man,
fast.
honestly, I flip the bottle upside down and just fuck. If you overpour on, it doesn't matter. If you underpour, you got a problem. If you overpour, no
Yeah.
penalties.
Yeah. See
Is
how
this
it
a good drink?
approached me. I lost 2 seconds in that.
100%.
All right.
All right, you ready? Okay, fair enough. All right, we're going to go on 3, 2, 1, go again. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
and he's away.
Here he goes, he's away. 45 mils. Here he goes, all the way to the top.
Go,
Oh
Buzz.
my God, that
Go.
thing is slow.
See, we're being
You're holding your hand over the... He's holding the hand over the...
Go, Buzz.
One, two, three, four, five, straighten it out. Here we go, put the strainer on, bang. Oh, my God.
Go.
Fruit on top, bit of ice, 24.80.
I think we're running 2 for the guests.
Fuck, that was not the prettiest, but
There's ice everywhere.
Hey,
How about the...
you know, we kept the ice out though with the strain. It's unorthodox, but we'll go with it.
Can we get a slow-mo up on the strain?
yeah, like,
You just go back to his back paw.
mate,
What was this one?
with this thing?
Mate,
We got this stitched up.
It's a bit slow, brothers. I won't lie.
Ready?
Joy, you've taken the win
Mate, haven't I?
by 0.8. Not even that, by 0.78.
In all fairness, I mean, you put the 2 together. Man, I was beating him by like 10 seconds.
Two very different methods of making a cocktail.
It's not how you started.
If I
He's
paid
finished,
20
boys.
bucks for your cocktail, I'd be throwing it back at you.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've been to the casino, bud.
Fuck, well, you've ended up fourth and
Where'd I
fifth.
sit?
Fourth and fifth.
Yeah, fourth and fifth. It's
Highest top guests.
Yeah, behind the founders. I'm happy with that.
Well done.
Boom.
Congratulations.
Considering we serve ours neat.
Considering I've seen you've never used a strainer.
Nah,
I've
never.
never seen anybody use a
That's
strainer.
the first time I've saw one.
You haven't seen his first piece of merch, have you? He knows a cocktail spoon.
Oh my
I was our number one seller.
God,
I've never seen a cocktail spoon on a key ring, but walked out the door.
Absolutely. Fucking hell. Mate, I want to know more about, like, you've made this product, like you guys had the idea, you've made this product, like you've started obviously figuring out literally what it tastes like, feels like. At what point do you start working on, you played around with some logos, but what point do you start working on a bottle, how you get it into Australia? What's that process look like? Like, can't imagine it's easy.
Yeah, so the whole, I guess, the concept around the bottle and the look and the feel, I guess, from that side of it was, my thought process behind the bottle was, okay, we want something. When you look at a consumer product, who does it the best when it looks for a brand? I believe a cologne company. When you look at a cologne company, packaging, everything, feel, they probably do it the best among any consumer product.
Yep.
So we thought, okay, well, let's sort of model the brand around the way the cologne companies do it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's sort of where we got the inspiration on the bottle side of things. And then I guess from a legality side of it, as Jai mentioned before, the Tequila Regulatory Council is something that we got to apply for, and it's quite a process to get approved. And then obviously we got to get approved with the Australian government to import this stuff. So unlike because tequila is a denomination of origin, the country of Mexico actually owns the word.
Yeah, right.
Same as champagne in France.
Yeah.
We can only bottle if you harvest Blue River agave. You can only bottle it, label it, and finish product in Mexico to call it tequila.
Yeah,
you can't
right.
do it here. You got to call it an agave spirit.
Yeah.
Or anywhere else around the world.
And it doesn't taste as good anyway.
No, exactly. So
You got to remember, as you dive into that, depends where you kind of go to get your research, but there's upwards of 200 to 300 different types of agave plants.
Yeah.
So
within Mexico, there's 100, 130.
Yeah.
To make tequila, blue agave,
Yeah.
changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you saw that come up, I mean, all well and good to start a brand, and then you're thinking, fuck, all these hurdles you got to jump across. I'm like, fuck, wouldn't gin or something else be? Is it too late to turn back?
Is there a point where you're like, fuck,
You've already ponied up,
yeah, this
you've
is
got your
getting too
bottle.
hard?
Oh, yeah. A couple hundred in. No,
I
guess
can't
it's-
imagine it's cheap. Like I've developed like plastic bottles in my time, and that's expensive to make a mold and those kind of things. Like that's a custom blown bottle to a mold. It's pretty specific and it's far bigger than a perfume bottle.
Yeah,
Like,
and I guess no liquor experience. You don't know what a speed rail is or any of these terminologies, and until you get here and they're like, it doesn't fit in my speed rail. I said, what the fuck's a speed rail?
Yeah, speed rail for those references is like
Yeah.
when you see a bartender and everything's at their hands, like it's in front of them, in front of the bar. All the liquor goes in front, and they can just simply pick it up, pour it into the shot glass, measure it out, put it back. They don't have to go to the back bar, which is kind of where you've ended up
I'm learning,
sitting.
bro. As we talk.
The back bar, like you put yourself on the back bar before you even had a chance.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, if we had our time over again, would we have changed anything? Maybe, but I guess in the end, it's sort of positioned ourselves in the market where we see ourselves as an ultra premium. And when we got into this deal, we were like, okay, we're not going to be your Sierra.
We're price pointed.
No, we're not. We're not going to be your $30, $40, $50 bottle. If you're going to buy our stuff, you're probably going to spend a little bit more because we believe the product's a premium product.
Yep.
I mean, I put that up against Patron, Don Julio. You've tried it, mate. I mean,
It's good. It is really good.
yeah, and I mean, thanks, man. I think it's a superior product, so we need to position ourselves there, and we need to stay true to, where we sit. And it's easy when a lot of opportunities come along to take them. You're like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Well,
Yeah.
does it fit with our brand? And Napa's sort of come to us one day, and I guess I've probably got a bit of a history to be running along and probably want to do a million different things. But
Just saying yes and then figuring it
yeah,
out.
exactly. But
Don't
then
get me wrong, I'm the same, but
you
I
get
have a
to
bit of
it,
hospitality experience.
I guess he sort of slapped me around a little bit. Said, mate, who's our customer and what's
How'd
our
you guys meet?
mate? I walked into his place of business one day when the boys were looking at getting involved, and off the back, actually, it was through a mutual friend. He actually reached out, saw the brand, and then off the back of that, we set up a meeting. And the original guys we were chatting to didn't want to go ahead, and Jai still wanted to get on board. So sort of how it all come about. But yeah, going back to that piece, I guess it's I guess it's one of those things that I just lost my train of thought a little bit. Sorry.
The journey's been so organic with Volando.
Yeah.
Right now, whether it's right or wrong to do
Right time, right place, making
mate, whether it's right to do a 700 or a 750 mil, or a 38 or a 40.
What is, like, for us, we were so green with it, what is the perfect, position in the market? What sells and what doesn't? If you had your time over again when you understand the liquor taxes in Australia, you might have been 38% at 700 mil.
Yeah.
The way they are in Australia, for anyone who doesn't know, we're at...
Mate, no, so many people don't know this. I had no idea. Like, I've done branding, marketing for hospitality venues across the board until I started working more in this business. I had no idea about alcohol tax.
I didn't either.
still doesn't.
I'm thinking we're making a pretty lick until fucking...
See the merch he's producing?
What is it? It's like 25% or something.
No, dude. So it's 110% on what it costs us. So it is actually, the formula is $87.60 at 1,000 mils at 100 proof. So ours is $7.50. 40% brings us back to $27.60 a bottle.
Wow.
It costs us
straight to the government.
Far less than that. Straight. And that's nothing else. That's no duties. That's excise tax only.
That's no GST or anything.
Nothing. So you can't, and there's nothing you can do to recoup that money. And the kicker is to it, because we're not a distiller, there's a grant for 100,000 if you're a manufacturer locally. We're not.
Yeah, right.
We're actually an importer. We're classed an importer. So you can't even claw back 100. So it's one of those things that, until you get into it, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. But
it looks fun on the, like, it all looks fun and games on the outside. But once you start crunching numbers and doing things and paying for things and importing things, like, some people just have no idea of the actual ramifications of starting a tequila brand.
Mate, I've said it to the boys before. Like, you look
Turtle make it look easy, huh?
You look at it and look, I keep reiterating, but that whole organic process, it's just been built on passion to create something that's cool. And no matter what the ramifications were of delivering something to that standard, who cares? And that's what's so cool about the attitude. It's been
that's kind of the fun part, right?
You get me?
These guys literally had no idea what they were doing.
Mate, and
all that mattered was the product. And
to come in at half time and look at it, you go, fuck, look what they've done to date. With no idea. You got an Olympic boxer,
didn't know the
rules.
rules.
Got a guy that raced a car, had no idea whatsoever. And they've ponied up, strapped in, brought a product to Australia that you can't get. Like, how many Australian tequila companies are there?
I think we really got probably a bit of a reality check 6 months into the business. We had, put someone in to give us some guidance, and that didn't really work out. One thing Jesse and myself know is we know startup. So you got to just go back to the fundamentals.
Just bootstrapping it.
Mate, you got to
hard work.
Mate, sales, hard work, and just get in and do it. And there's no one else that's going to sell it better than you are. There's not. You got to go in when you need to, get in and do the hard yards. You just got to get in there, sell the product and sell the story. And then off the back of that, it'll eventually, hopefully it'll flourish and people will sort of buy into it. And look, I think our biggest thing is we make shit look cool and the product's really good. And off the back of that right now, we don't have a huge budget to spend on the culture side of things, but I think that'll grow and that'll come sort of working with guys like yourself, So, it's one of those things. It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking, but it's
nice
exciting.
to know people are in the sales. Saying to Joy before, I was like, it's nice to know people are in the same boat because, we're in a business that is overrun or overpowered by, big businesses like with huge capital, huge startup. Like, you guys are in direct competition with Patron and Don Julio.
Crazy, right?
Like who's on Don Julio's? Like, who are they with? Like, like huge, like bottomless cash pit of budget to do things. Like, and they're your direct competitor and they're the people you're competing against for shelf space. Same with Patron, shelf space, back bar space, being in that premium category. Like shit must make you nervous.
Oh, you look at Patron, dude, in Australia, that is 300,000 bottles. We did 10. Which,
that's a good get.
You have to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
When you look at it from 0 to that in the first year, I mean, we're pretty proud of
Do the math on $27 on 10,000 bottles that you paid. Like,
still makes me cry.
But they're all the things that, like, people just don't understand. It's really cool to hear that story and, like, that you guys just didn't, like just go, fuck, this is getting too hard. We're competing.
Oh
against
no, bro, we had plenty of those moments. Like Jesse and myself, we had a few little moments where we had to give each other a bit of a, bit of a check, bit of a coaching check. So
that comes down to the landscape, though. Like you really got to kind of weigh it all up and go, it's like a David and Goliath type battle, right?
Yeah.
We know our backyard. We know it's Southeast Queensland.
Yeah.
Jesse's on the sunny coast. We're based on the Gold Coast. Like, let's not, and this is where I guess when I kind of entered the business, it's like, let's throw the handbrake on. Let's stop running 90 mile an hour, taking all these opportunities, looking at what works. Let's just stop and then revisit. Is it on-prem? Is it off-prem?
Yeah.
Is it online? Like,
For those that listen, like off-prem is bottle shops.
Yeah, correct.
Like independent bottle shops, Dan Murphy's, BWS, all those kind of things. On-prem is in a venue where they actually
licensed venues.
Licensed venues that actually serve a drink.
And that's where obviously your direct competitor in those online, on those licensed premises space is your Diageo's, your Moet Hennessy's. Mate, we don't have that budget.
No.
You don't, you know yourself as a startup, like you're not competing with a speed rail, a house pour.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to get on the back bar.
Yeah.
And even then it's, shaking hands, doing the right thing, building relationships and trying to get in the door that way. And I think that's been the biggest push for Volando, especially in Southeast Queensland being our own backyard, is just kicking. We're ruthless with kicking doors in to get this product in there.
You've really got to be, man, on any of that front. I mean, there's a way. There's always a way. Don't take no for an answer. If you can't get through the front door, go through the side door. If you can't do the side door, go through the back door.
There's always something that the person that you're dealing with, the person that you're dealing with always has something that motivates them, whether it be GP, brand, like they just want a good person to deal with. Like they want the relationship with somebody that they like. Like you just have to figure out whatever that motivator is as salespeople, as a person, and figure out, and that's what you hone in on. That's where you help. That's how you help their business. Because at the end of the day, it's all well and good walking and being like, "Here, I've got this product," but how does your product help their business? Yeah. Because to help their business, that's how you help your business.
Yeah, 100%. And you walk into retailers and straight away you talk tequila and they've got their back up. Mate, won't work, won't sell. Okay, understand that. We're not like every other tequila company. We're not like Patron where you put on the shelf and you disappear.
Yeah.
We will be here. We'll do in-store tastings. We'll sample. We'll be here for support, whatever you need. When you pick up the phone and you call, the number on the website, you're going to get Jesse or myself or Jai. We're here to, educate where we can on the product. I mean, obviously, as you grow, time sort of gets a little bit scarce, but, you really got to know the brand and the story behind it. In the end, when anyone wants to hear it, they want to hear, how it started and how organic it grew. I mean, I think that's the most interesting part about this brand and where it is. And same as you guys.
You did this one thing, man, that like you had no fucking idea about, but you designed a bottle and a box that like stands out like a sore thumb, that looks sexy, looks cool. Like you did it from, obviously you told us about your idea with perfume, but like that's what makes it stand out and makes it different to everything else that's on a shelf. Like, you've got to get people to pick up your product.
That's exactly right. So the first thing, when you walk in there and you see a product on the shelf, what do you need to do? It needs to look attractive to you. Second thing is, when you buy it, you don't just want the first order, you want the reorders. So the product has to be good.
Really good, yeah.
How do you get it? So liquor, as opposed to like clothing brand, we're pigs, man. A clothing brand company can bring out another pair of leggings and another clothing brand can bring up another pair, and we'll just switch because, we want to try it or anything else. When you have a liquor brand that you drink and you drunk it for the last 15 years, do you know how hard it is to change someone's perception on the change of that liquor brand? Yeah. Like, what the fuck would I
become really loyal, eh?
Tequila.
Really loyal.
Exactly. The best part is with Aussies is we are loyal to the brand. So if we can actually switch them for Patron or Don Julio or anyone else to an Australian-owned tequila brand, then you got them for life. And then they're not changing. Yeah. Unless someone else is going to go through the whole bullshit we went through.
Come out with a 700 mil at 38 proof.
Anytime someone says that, I'm like, boys, have at it. Seriously.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Because you guys have been over and visited the tequila farms. Like, you've been there multiple times. Like, what's the vibe? Like, we're talking like...
You got to remember, mate, that's like in their blood.
Yeah.
Like, that's decades, centuries of just education, hard work.
Family farms.
One of the most interesting things is, dude, you go there, and a bit of a backstory on the first time we went there. So, got a little first night fever. Got out. I think I rolled in about 7:30, Jesse's like, mate, we got to go. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, we got to be at the first farm at 9. So I had to shower, back out the door. When you get there, you taste tequila from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. You got to remember, these boys who take you around, that's their job.
Yeah,
they drink between 9 and 5.
Bang, get in the
all
car.
they do.
Next one, bang.
Yeah,
like,
I was poleaxed by 11. Done. I'm like hunting for food because I needed it sober up.
oh my God.
But dude, that's exactly what it is. Like, boom, nah, oh, terrible, nah. Until eventually you're like, okay, what about this, and then you eventually start, okay, what can we do with this? Okay, yep, we're close.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I mean, we would have tasted 200 or 300 different types of tequilas over the period of the 3 or 4 days we were there.
How long between like that to then putting a product on the shelf in Australia?
So we were there in November, I think November of 18, and we received the product in Australia of December of 19. So there was about a year process from when we met the distillery to when we went through all the legalities and the CRT and all the certification. The brand side of things, there was some bits and pieces. Didn't get the label right on the back.
Recycled Sesame seed. FYI.
But
Couple of versions.
Are the bottles made over there as well?
bottles are made over there.
That's
Yeah,
sick. Yeah, cool.
But one interesting thing is, like, for instance, on the cork here, right? This is actually a natural cork, and these natural corks are made in. I'm going to test me here. Venezuela, maybe.
Yeah.
And they only produce this. They only harvest this paper off trees twice a year. Right, so on a natural cork molds the bottle. If you can see the cork here, it actually molds the inside of the bottle, where a synthetic cork doesn't.
It just stays put,
Yeah.
Doesn't actually sit, like if the bottle is slightly out, hand-blown bottle slightly out, it won't actually wrap to it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we went with the natural cork for that reason, just to keep it authentic as well. But
Plays on the premium side of the business
it drives
too,
the
though.
price up too. So, and you learn these things as you go along. But like, okay, what else can we do to the bottle? So the necktie around the neck, it creates something, but it turns into a neck braid.
Yeah,
so there's stuff like that you just want to just be remembered by. You
Yeah.
know, when the bottle disappears off the shelf, at least you still got something. When the boys go to, or girls go to buy another bottle, they're like, oh, I'll buy a bottle.
Remember a bit, like, man, it's one of those, like we've got one at home and just chuck put flowers in it, because the bottle shape is
cool,
very cool. Like, and there's memorabilia about it, and it's like gives people a feeling about when they drunk it, and then like they're like, fuck, I'm gonna drink that Volando stuff again. It's good, and then that's the loyalty, man. That's what you want. That's where the repeat purchases come, and that's where, and it takes a long time to build that loyalty. Like, you guys you said you received your first order in 2020,
2019 December,
2019, so you're 2 years old.
Yeah, we got punched up in COVID pretty much immediately.
Probably a year.
Couldn't have picked a worse time to launch.
2021's really the
Yeah.
run. I mean, trial and error, right? Like you're seeing it now. Like it takes you a while to understand which direction you're going to run and how you're going to do it.
Yeah. And then you got to
Took us a
build, like,
while.
tell your story, tell your lifestyle, like find out who your customer is. Like, tequila's a pretty, like, without no celebrity or anything, you can't just go out to market and be like, oh, we're here, hey everyone. Like, there's none of that. There's none of that big show going on. It has to be an organic growth and lots of marketing push and like getting people emotionally engaged in your.
You got to remember
brand.
too, mate. Like when you're dealing with entities overseas and especially Mexico, like it is difficult because you can't just pop in and have a drink and work things out and work through things. Like there's a language barrier.
Yeah,
that's massive. That's huge. You know, every contract is done in Spanish, so you've got to get it. You've got to get it reformatted to English, and we know that PDF editors aren't the best, mate. So it's broken. It's not 100% given what you
Google
need to
Translate
do.
ain't that good.
It's a nightmare. But the beautiful thing about those people is that they understood what the boys are trying to deliver.
Yeah.
And when you take, you're walking into somebody's business, it's a third generation. Like they take that stuff pretty seriously. So when somebody comes in off the street to slap a label on a bottle, they didn't just walk out and do it once, right? So they go in and they pull apart the business and then understand how to better that profile to suit their homeland.
What they're trying to achieve,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that whole trust thing with your distiller, right? You linking agreements, all the rest of it. A piece of paper signed by both parties is all well and good, but Mexicans are fairly old school, mate. Handshake is bond, like your word. So, I mean, with our distilling partner, to give you an idea, I mean, we've had dinner at their house and like we've got a pretty tight knit, relationship with them now.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely important to understand. Like, you can't go and set up a distillery in Australia or, anywhere around the world and start producing this stuff. It's got to be in Mexico. You don't have too many choices. So you better make sure that you've got a good relationship with whoever is producing this
Especially
stuff.
if the upswing comes, like at some stage, you get to a point in business and the upswing comes and you're taking over more bottle shops and like you guys are having real success with the Dan's and PWS guys. When the upswing comes, like you've got to call on them to double the order, triple the order. Like, and I don't imagine it's an easy process to go, oh, fuck, we've under-ordered. We don't have enough stock in Australia to shit. We need another.
It's not real easy. 14-week turnaround,
Yeah, like 14-week turnaround to get it here. And that's on the precedent that they don't have somebody else like you guys that's had the same upswing elsewhere in the world that they're making stuff for.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, Portugal on the cork, that's where it's made, not Venezuela. Jesse will chip me on that.
It's like, where are you going with that? I've never heard that ever.
Nah, Portugal. That's where it's made.
Glad we cleared that
just write that down in the notes because he will ask me that.
He corrected it at 15:22.
And I didn't even need to reach for my phone.
That whole turnkey to deliver a tequila, like it's not a 1 or 2 month swing.
No.
That's the other part to consider. And when you look at this and to build that, to get the first bottle here, 12, 18 months after you actually go and do it, like in a time where agave...
Tipping money into things.
You got to remember, like the biggest... So you look at the cogs of something like this, right? 50% of it is agave. So you've picked a market...
100% of it is tax.
You picked a market where agave and all the celebrities are getting on a trending tequila category.
Yeah.
The shortage is there. The agave price goes up. There's an abundance that need to be placed. Mate, like
it's quite scary knowing that that's a Kendall Jenner or whatever is released a tequila. All of a sudden, like there's heaps of crew bringing out these tequilas and it's like gonna create a proper agave shortage.
Look at The Rock now.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Sold Big George.
Unbelievable.
Man, that's crazy.
But you look at this stuff and you look at Casamigos, for instance, they just sold 1 million cases, which is 12 bottle cases, 12 million bottles. So when you look back at their buyout, 3 years ago for $1 billion, that was a bargain.
Who'd they sell to?
They sold out to Diageo, I believe. Actually.
Such a cool, I love their brand. It feels like really nice and they do the mezcal and stuff like that.
It's one of those deals that you can feel connected with them.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess that's the biggest thing. Without having any celebs or anything behind our brand, we want to have our consumer connect with us, feel like we know us, and we're just a bunch of lads that went out and had a crack. Seriously, like when you were talking about starting a brand, literally, we picked up the phone and said, "Hey, we want to come down and taste some of your tequila." Then after the fact, we're like, "Okay, you got to get through this and this," and then you start digging in all the legalities and everything else. But it was literally that.
You guys currently have one product.
Yeah.
Literally, you do the merch and the teas and the hats and all the other stuff, but realistically, your business is built on one product. Yeah. Are you looking at extending the range, doing like you've got Blanco? Is there any else?
Yeah, 100%. So we got obviously our Blanco, which is where we cut our teeth with, and the reason we stuck with the Blanco is first and foremost, let's not overcomplicate this. Our job is to re-educate people on tequila in
Australia.
Yeah, so let's not go and throw a Reposado or an Anejo or a Mezcal in front of them first. Guys, this is how tequila should taste in a clear spirit. And now, at the end of the year, we'll have a Reposado and we've got a Mezcal coming out.
Just get them addicted to these ones, and then you can move them to other products.
Exactly. Buy into the brand and the culture, and then we can move them on to the other SKUs. And then one exciting part off the back of that is we've got an RTD coming out at the end of the year. So and again, that's another deal. Like a sparkling tequila is not like a salsa. You gotta still get certification from Mexico to export the product.
Are you getting it canned? Or you bring the tequila over and then making it here, or are you making the RTD over there?
So there's an option of it. We could have made it in Mexico.
Yep.
The problem is the risk factor is you get damaged on shipment and whatnot. Lose stock and whatnot. But the second thing is we're an Australian product. So we brought the raw liquid here. We'll manufacture it. We use local manufacturers over here. And, as many Australian manufactured companies as we can, we will, because that's what we are. We want to stay true to Aussies as well, because we're an Aussie-owned company.
Bringing a heap of business
Yeah,
over
exactly.
here, employing people over here. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
Exactly. So, to your question, mate, no, we're bringing the raw liquid in and we're canning it all over here.
Just remember the legalities around that too, right? So you have to adopt the CRT model, right? So there's a process there to get your canning supplier review signed off and approved by Mexico to allow you to do that.
Oh,
that's not just a, hey, let's just send it over and
we're just buying
work
tequila
it out,
and
mate. No.
doing whatever the fuck we want with it over here.
There's a process to that,
Dude.
So there's that, the fact that because it is bulk, it's a mixto, it's not 100% agave. So there's an element of that too, and you've got the capacity to do that when you're blending a can.
Yeah.
So when you start to piece all those things together, then you start to visit labeling, you start to visit packaging, you start to work out how your format's going to sit on a shelf. You look at your can size, you look at the fact that there's only 2 canning suppliers in Australia. You're limited with what options you got. Where do you sit in the market from where you sit from an ABV to a millage? And
then where do you sit on a shelf in those stores? Like the RTD market is like heavily flooded with seltzers and
We've
like
been there
ready to drinks, like, and
12
vodka,
months.
Vodka Cruise is like still the number one.
Yeah,
but like
exactly.
they're all the people you're trying to steal with an RTD. That's all the people you're trying to steal shelf space from. And craft beer has obviously exploded and also filled fridges with an RTD.
Yeah, 100%.
In that world. So
that's the thing too, mate. You got to remember about the Blanco and what we've done there is the celebrity impact to the sector is it's great, but again, when we talk about that's the celebrity product and what's driven, not all of it's premium tequila. So when people adopt their favourite celebrity's beverage of choice and they go and do it, the taste that they might get from that bottle might be something that isn't inviting enough to go back to tequila. Yeah. So for us, it's great that they're shine a light on it, but at the same time too, we're sitting over here with this small wagon trying to reintroduce what tequila is to people and how it should taste. And our biggest thing, and this is what we kind of pride ourselves on, is our tasting program. So
you guys do heaps of tastings, like that's
on the ground.
Liquid to lips, man.
Liquid to lips.
Yeah. Liquid to lips is probably the strongest, marketing asset that we have. Like I said, that whole educating Aussies on how to drink it, but until you get it in, first buy order's great on the look and feel and whatever, it looks pretty, but those reorders is what's important. Getting them to taste it, understand it. And when they taste it, man, they're, one of the most common comments is, that's not tequila. Like, no, really it is.
No, it is. It actually is.
Yeah.
Well, let's pour something out and have some Blanco, right?
This episode is sponsored by Volando Tequila, created for the moment. In celebration of World Tequila Day, Volando has offered our listeners a $15 discount off the Founders Gift Box. This gift set includes the original Blanco Tequila encased in a luxurious limited edition gift box. Use code TEQUILA15 at checkout. Enjoy your Volando Tequila this World Tequila Day and celebrate the spirit of spirits. Now, back to the episode.
Cheers. We're going to have a little sippy sip of the God's juice. Cheers.
All the juice.
Don't make the face.
Man, it's honestly
really good, eh?
It's so easy to drink.
Super easy, yeah.
Like you still get a little bit of...
It's scary, dude. It's still 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Mate, it's that extra 2%.
Oh, levels ya.
Just get to that a little bit. Have you thought about bringing it back on just...
Look, we did. So US is 40% minimum.
Yeah, right.
So for that whole market, we're looking at... We're a distributor right now in the US. So for that case, we're like, why change it?
Yeah.
Remember, everything changes, right?
Yeah.
Noms,
Yeah.
That whole process.
Yeah, the whole process. You got to redo it again.
We don't like money, mate. We may as well throw it away.
Just keep spending.
Just keep ripping it to the tax department.
Yeah, it's so good, honestly. Keep giving the tax man what he wants.
If you're watching, tax man.
Yeah.
Give us a break.
Please.
All right. We're going to play the Shake Up card game, Never Have I Ever Pack. Here it is.
Oh, boy.
Should be... This episode coming out next week for Tequila Day, so this probably won't be here. But it's coming.
What will this be? I was married 3 months ago.
I've been 14 years engaged.
Be tame. Have you?
Yeah, 14 years engaged.
Come on, mate.
14 years engaged.
2 kids. Not sure if she's the one.
Is that on?
Yeah.
She's stuck through with all this, mate.
She's 100% the one.
All right, we've got 2 cards here. I'm just gonna give you your card because you've done lots of traveling.
Yep.
And I feel like this is fuck, people, I feel like people do this all the time.
Well, I definitely have done it then.
People do this all the time, but then they, like, nobody actually knows about it, and it's fucking scary to do. So this is your card.
Right, what is it?
Here you go.
What do you got?
100% done it. It's actually a good story behind this.
Read it out.
Never have I ever travelled overseas with less than 500 in my bank account. Far
never
less
done
than
it.
that.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a trip from Hope Island.
Oh my God, absolutely I have.
Really?
Yep. So a bit of a backstory on this. This is I'm going to say probably 6 months into the whole construction company in the US setup. So I guess when you set up a construction in the US, a little bit different. So the architect dictates the project a little bit. So we would go into a project in Australia thinking, you know, you put in a bid, 6 weeks, you could be on the job.
Yeah.
Right? The job will be coming out of the ground. US, you put in your bid, if the job's coming out of the ground, you're not even going to look in because they've already let those scopes 11 months, 12 months in advance. So we got over there, set up and thought, you know, we'll start bidding and be off the ground. 6-9 months into it, we're like ripping through cash. Like there's
Someone give us a job.
someone give us a start, mate. Like seriously. So we're like, man, we're like ripping through money and we were already in. Like there was no turning back. Jesse calls me one day, he goes, hey bro, look, I just want to let you know I spent my last $2,000 to get me dog here, so this is gonna happen. And I'm like, fuck man, I hope he didn't like the dog too much. But
Game
seriously,
on.
when I flew over there once, this is probably like I said, six or 7 months in, we went to dinner one night with an architect, and Jess and I went to the bathroom, and he pulls me aside. He goes, hey, he goes, I can't pay for dinner. I said, mate, I can't either. Like
This is a guy trying to smooze to get a job.
Yeah, this is a guy that was going to open doors for us, and we literally couldn't pay for dinner. And that's no word of a lie. We were like a week off tipping. And it's just one of those things that,
Who paid for dinner?
fortunately, we got it done. We figured out a way to get it done, and I think we scrambled and scrimped with the cash that we had.
Oh, man.
But not our company credit card, personal credit cards were tapped. Like we were tapped, and it was, we literally got onto the next job. We smashed the job out. I spoke to the builder. We ended up getting an advance payment, and we started rolling. And it was one of those things, dude. It was like sink or swim. You got to feed the faith and starve out the doubt.
Put it on the line, away you go.
Exactly. It's that I heard a story on Elon Musk when he sold his shares in one of his companies. I think it was 180 million he got for it. He put in 180. He had to borrow money to pay his rent.
The same.
You know,
So many stories like that, man.
yeah, it's
I've heard heaps of stories like that, especially in like this industry. Like I know the Bolter dudes, like they were missing housing payments and stuff when they were all tipping cash in. Like it's gnarly.
It's crazy. And look, people they want to see what they want to see, right? Like they see all, you know, you're out having fun, and you want to perceive that, you know, everything's cruising along well. And
Doesn't help with Instagram. Everyone's
No,
on the
not
highlight
nowadays.
reel. Like we're living this sick life.
exactly. And unfortunately, the reality is that sacrifice is the number one thing that will get you through. You got to make sure that if you really want it, you got to sacrifice. There's things you got to go without.
Absolutely.
That's end of story. So yeah, definitely been there without $500 in my bank.
Wow, hey. Like that's so loose.
I didn't have a dog. Just had the dog.
Is the dog still around?
Yeah, it is actually a funny story.
Is it back living in Australia?
Funny story, it is. And he's going back to America for a second stint with the company, and he's got a second Roddy that looks exactly like the first one that he's taking back.
Oh
It's
my
going to cost
God.
him another fucking $2,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
so,
mad.
Yeah. So good
All right.
story.
That's it. Fuck, man. You put it on the line. Paid off.
Yeah. Sort of. then we tipped it into tequila. We had no idea.
Yeah. We started rolling, then we just jumped into tequila. All right. We're going to get here. I'm going to let you choose.
Stitch up. Banned from a venue.
Venue manager.
He's a
Gets
venue
banned.
manager. Hope it wasn't yours.
I'll keep it PG. You think of one? Yeah, all right. 08 or 9, I'd have been a young little whippersnipper. I think I was a glassy or a bartender. I was working my first hospitality job, and we had a bit of a boys' night on the. Everyone knows Mad Monday,
Yeah.
right?
Most
No one
people.
knows how they end, right?
Yeah.
Got absolutely buckled. The Tuesday we had a racing day. Remember the go-karts? The go-kart tracks? I'm not going to say the name of the
go-kart
venue,
track.
but somewhere
Locally.
locally. There was about
Are you banned for life?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't race, mate. I'm not a racer. Like, I drive a truck. Like, it doesn't go over 60 clicks. But we all went to this race day, hungover. There was 8 of us. It was all the kids, the guys from work, a couple of managers. And it's always that competition thing. It's like, fuck, I'll beat you, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, we had it for the day. Like, no one goes on a Tuesday. For some reason, we just all thought we're in, like, Dodgem cars. Yet we're in these go-karts that are doing, oh, no, you're the racer. What do they do?
They get like 40, 50 clicks.
Oh, more.
Yeah, like I think they're 100k. Like
you're 90, flat 100K. You're shit to a blanket. Like, you don't move.
You're real low to the ground. Perceived speed.
And open wheel. So you touch the back wheel, you're over.
I'm super competitive. Like, super competitive. You put me on a racetrack and I can't drive, mate, I'll bite your ear off. Hit the first berm. As you go around, it was like left to right. Nate, one of my mates, is in front of me, went to overtake me.
Yeah.
I just T-boned him.
Straight in.
Straight in. I hit the back of the berm over the top, lost my front wheel. Stop it. And in a go-kart, you can't get up and like leave your go-kart.
You're strapped in your load at the
Mate,
ground.
you got to stay in part of your little induction. They
Put
make
your
sure you
hand
don't
up.
go anywhere.
Put your hand
up. Everyone's looking for me.
Help, sir.
They're looking for me. I'm out like over the berm. If you're not 100 clicks, you hit a berm, you're 50,
You're out,
60.
yeah.
You're in the shrubs, right?
Yeah.
Get out of my car. Long story short, mate, ban, life ban.
Done. Never allowed back.
Never allowed back.
What? Okay, so we won't do that for Christmas.
That's off the
Haven't
Christmas party
go-karted
list.
ever again.
That's off the Christmas party
Oh,
list.
shit.
What's next for you guys? Like, obviously you got the RTDs, all that kind of stuff. What's next?
Mate, look, US is something that has popped up just recently, and it's one of those things that it's a hard thing to avoid. You know, the US sell 90% of the tequila sold around the world. So
Numbers are on the board.
yeah, it is, and one of those things that okay, how can we be again in that market? We got to show a little bit of point of difference, right?
Yep.
So the whole story behind us being Aussie owned and bringing a product to Australia that's in an untapped market, we wanted to break in here first. So we really have to, we want to stay true to the Australian culture and the Mexican, culture as well, with where it was ingrained in us. But the US is obviously, evidently, it's no secret that's where we're going to end up.
Yep.
So that's probably our next big thing. I would think that probably next year we're going to be there. We're right in the middle of a distribution negotiation right now that looks like it's probably going to go ahead. But mate, you think Aussie market takes big balls, dude. That's just
That's scary over there. And like, is it a little bit different tackling over there? Because obviously the brand and the marketing is sort of going to run along the same pathway. But when you start talking about price pointing, there's a lot more brands, there's a lot more tequilas, there's a lot more.
Think density though.
Yeah,
right?
density, but people shop differently as well.
Yeah,
like they shop in supermarkets, they don't
Yeah.
shop in bottle shops. Like,
Well, one good thing, mate, tax is 68 cents a bottle.
can you
believe that?
So you're up $26.
We're up 26 off the get-go.
Straight off the
You gotta
bat.
remember too, mate, coming straight out of Mexico, like Tuck said, it's you're 2 months on the water with product here, right?
Yeah.
You're 4 to 6 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like and I think the best part about the US for us is it was actually on the radar as a first step when the boys were there.
Yeah.
But then to have it be an Australian company, have that Australian stigma of what you're trying to create, you really need to set the foundation at home first. Obviously, being 2 to 3 years in now, it came to everyone, I guess, strives to go to the US, but no one really knows how to tap into it.
Yeah.
And I think you really need to make sure that relationship that you build with whoever is your partner over there needs to be the partner.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're pretty lucky to. I mean, I love the way Aussies work. We got the best work ethic anywhere in the world. I've worked with the guys in America and take nothing away from them. It's just they're different.
Yeah.
And our distributor who came and approached us, he's an Aussie guy living in New York. We love that about it. He understands us. He gets it.
Yeah.
Gets in the trenches and just makes it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the biggest things that drew us to this distributor. So he's sort of batting in our corner a little bit. And, mate, when they're talking numbers, they're talking 20 times what we've done in our first year and the first year over there. And that's conservative. Like, it's
That's
just
crazy,
it's unbelievable.
Man, when you look at Pennsylvania as a state, it's the number 2 for liquor sales in the world.
Yeah.
Behind Canada as a country.
Wow.
When we started our construction company, I looked at the numbers, and Australia's got 25 to 30 million people. Texas has 25 million people. So
you fit the whole of Australia,
exactly,
whole of Texas into Australia.
Yep.
Like, and there's no room to move.
Yep.
And
Crazy.
like it's so much denser as well. Like we've got so much landscape here. Like you just imagine, like fuck, there must be fitting so many people.
And the US, for whatever reason, they are very acceptable to new products. You know, over here we're like, oh, no, I got my drink, or I got my thing, or I got my, you know, this is who I'm, you know, loyal to, which is great once we get into it.
Yeah.
But US, like, yeah, I'll try it. They love Aussies. They want to, you know, get amongst it. You know, so I think it'll be very well received if we do it right. Well, the one thing that we're sticklers on is making sure all the brand asset, everything stays here. We control all that. They can do a whole campaign, the whole, you know, outlook on any of the media or digital side. That's great, but all the branding and everything has to remain the same because it can sort of, you know, get a bit skew if someone else, you know, starts
It's
to take
all
over.
about like selling Australian, and right, like this. Australians do so many things so fucking good, and brands and marketing is. You look at some of the brands that have gone to Australia, like we were talking before, like so many brands that go to Australia, they kill it purely based on that we do things really good here. We might be behind in some ways, like, you know, something's happened over in the US, like Celtas were huge over there a year or two ago, and now they're massive here now. Yeah. But we follow suit in some aspects, but we break ice in others. Like that's the beauty of that market. Like
100%.
Keep in mind too, like I think it's got to be done right here first.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for us. Like you'll never see a product of ours internationally before it's done right domestically. Yeah. And that's a big thing for, as you mentioned before, obviously the Blancos here. That Reposado and the Mezcal are the two other premiums to.
So looking forward to trying
to line.
Yeah, so we'll cut our teeth here and see how difficult it is before we crack the US.
Mate, thank you boys so much for coming in. Like it's so cool to understand how you get from an idea through to getting a product on a shelf in a bottle, getting a cork from Portugal, like. For a bloke that had literally
has
had no idea. Like you're just learning as you fucking go, like throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks and figuring it out as you go. And obviously you rely on people like Jai with
mate.
There's an old saying now it goes, bro, I want to be the dumbest person in the boardroom.
Keep me more. I'm just having a crack, right? Like I'm still learning. I might have the hospitality part of the business in me, but you know, at the same token too, like that's a beautiful thing about hospitality. It's constantly evolving. Like if you're not adapting and learning and being open to meeting new people that, you know, facilitate different venues and different things and products, mate, how do you grow?
And I think that's one of the things with, you know, you want to try and educate other people out there that's, you know, on the edge of having a crack, mate. If it doesn't work, start over.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Have a go. You only live once. So in the end, if it doesn't work, what do? You turn around and you go back to doing what you know.
Absolutely, have a crack, man. Like, how many times do you turn around and say, "Oh fuck"?
Oh mate,
what have we got ourselves into? Yeah,
daily.
Those thoughts go through people's head. Yeah,
100%. We've had a couple of Barneys about it. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I'm over here doing donuts, and the boys are over here.
There's a perfect highway here.
No one's using
the cane paddock doing dummies. You know? Mate, we got to go there.
Listen, we got there, didn't we?
We're there now. Speaking of we're there now, where can you buy Volando?
Oh, mate, look, online, volandotequila.com. Dan Murphy's, BWS, Liquor Legends, Celebrations, all your local independents as well.
You got a stockist map on your website?
We do. Go to our website, go to shop. You'll find our stockist map. A few too many tequilas. And obviously our shop online as well.
See, because you guys got heaps of merch. You sell all the hats, the shirts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
well.
Right now we're just re-establishing our e-com shop, but we're offering for this month a discount code Tequila15 for a discount code. I think there'll be a swipe up link from you guys.
Sick, yeah, there will be.
So to be able to jump on, get $15 off one of our premium range with gift box as well.
Sick, yeah, good. Get on it, guys.
Sweet.
Jump in. Follow you guys on Instagram. It's let me double check it. It's at Volando Tequila, right?
That's it.
Jump on, give them a follow, buy some tequila, make a margarita, have an afternoon of it like we have.
Thanks, brother.
So good. Thanks so much for coming in, guys. Really appreciate it. Cheers. That's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Go show the Shake Up some love and stay connected. Don't forget you can watch all of our episodes on YouTube. Also, jump over to our Shake Up Cocktail Gang Facebook page where you can find out who's coming up on the podcast. And if you've got questions for them, I'll ask the bloody questions. You can also use the code SHAKEUP for 10% off on mrconsistent.com.au. Thank you so much for listening, and just remember, Shit, that's fresh.